Welcome to another episode of The Modern Moron. Today I talk with a dear friend, collaborator, and writing partner from my time in LA. We met while studying improvisation in the early 90s at the Groundlings Theatre, and we performed in the theater's Sunday company in the late 90s. We chat for a while about creating characters for radio, which inevitably leads to a conversation about Phil Hendrie. If you don't know who Phil Hendrie is and you enjoy talk radio, or if you don't enjoy talk radio, you need to look him up. You can find him on YouTube, everywhere. I worked at the same radio station he did, 97.1 KLSX in Los Angeles. This was in the late 80s. Phil had not started the show he does now, and Howard Stern was years away from syndication in LA. I'll have links at the bottom of the episode description for links to Phil Hendrie. You should look him up because he truly creates theater of the mind with characters and no sound effects. We also talk about some of the lame humor I attempted when I was on the radio and how I got some mileage out of terrible writing material. Also, my guest's various jobs during his time in Hollywood and some of the great comedy clubs in LA that are not stand-up but improvisation, like the Groundlings, Upright Citizens Brigade, Improv Olympic West, and Second City Hollywood. You might try any of those theaters if you're headed there for work or play, and I think you'll find it interesting and different from the usual touristy excursions. We wrap up our improv conversation with a class he will be teaching and how rewarding it is to see the growth in a student who takes the plunge and is brave enough to get up in front of their peers in an improv. And we start off after both of us have just spent 40 exasperating minutes trying to work out the glitches with our microphones and headphones. Thanks for listening to The Modern Moron. Holy shit, that took 40 minutes.
How is it that it was so easy with 30 other people, but with me, it doesn't work?
I think the only thing I can think is that it's just you and your bad karma.
That's got to be it. I mean, technically, that has to be the answer.
I love that's technical to you. The karma is a technical thing.
Yeah, it's very technical. I do not grasp it because I just love how it's called Zencaster. Like it's so like just plug it in and start talking.
This
man.
time
It's
it
gonna be
did.
so
This time it
easy.
did. What was the last thing you did to your configuration on your end? Because that's what did it. What was the last thing you did?
We disabled the monitoring. At least I disabled.
Maybe
it on
that
my
was
end.
it. I'm sorry that
Yeah.
was so.
Holy cow, that was
know,
insane.
I apologize.
Man. No. It's okay. I'm glad it's working. I mean, you sound great, by the way.
Yeah, so do you. The sound quality is gonna be fantastic.
I can't believe you're in California. I mean, you sound great.
Yeah, right? Across the entire
Amazing.
country. And
Amazing.
yeah.
No delay or anything.
No, there's no delay. So when it works, it's a really great system. Zencaster, you get 4 hours a month. If you go over 4 hours, you need to buy their next level of service, which is like $12 or $20 a month. But
Right.
my podcasts are relatively short, so it's fine.
Boring.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So you basically,
Mhm. And you know me, you are Zen. I'm not. You know I'm not. I think that's why we made a good writing team.
yes, I do. I think we were very much complementary personalities. You know, we just clicked as a writing team. We just clicked, you know.
But you know, one thing that I find very funny is you trying to be tough.
I'll be back.
Cracks me
Right.
up. That's
Right, because I can't do
no,
that.
you can't do
No.
it. You just can't. Well,
I remember you used to do radio professionally.
I did.
Before you did comedy at the Groundlings. Does this kind of take you back to those days?
Definitely. And I think that maybe that's why this podcast is only 20 to 30 minutes long. I just,
Right.
I can't, I don't have the audacity to think that I could be entertaining for an hour or two and just record everything. Everything that comes out of my mouth is part of the podcast. No,
Right.
I'm going to go through it and cut out the things that I don't think belong there.
Have you ever talked to your audience about what you did on your show?
On my radio
and stuff
show?
like that?
Not really.
Yeah.
No, I try.
It's pretty cool though. You should one day, you know.
I'll
talk
tell you
about
this.
that
I've had
because it's
my old radio, my co-host, my old radio partner on.
oh, cool.
After I got fired, she went on to 25 years on that same morning show.
Whoa.
That doesn't happen in radio. You bounce around from station to station. Usually something happens. There's a change in management, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Wow.
25 years she was on the same morning show.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is kind of amazing.
And like right after you left,
It
the
just
show,
skyrocketed.
things really
It
seemed to
really-
take off. But did you tell people that when you started doing that radio show, you basically did the voices of your guests and call-ins and stuff like that?
I never told people that. I mean, I assume that they knew. It was just sort of theater of the mind. That's what I loved about radio. And it's what I learned from the guy I was a sidekick to. We had a reel-to-reel tape machine in the room. We would, during a song, record a bit with him as the character, and I would interact with the character. Then he would replay the bit, and then he would chime in with the character. You know who
Wow.
does that to the nth degree is Phil Hendrie. Do you know who Phil Hendrie is?
Yeah, Phil Hendrie. Yeah, I'm a big fan of his.
He was on in Los Angeles, but now he was a voice on King of the Hill. He's a voice on Rick and Morty.
Yes.
I think he's the principal Vagina.
Yes.
He will always say,
This is Principal Vagina. No relation.
but Phil Hendrie, he was a master at it because he would do it live. I
Yeah.
had the opportunity to see him do it.
I got to see him too. I saw him
Yeah.
perform live, and it was incredible.
Did you see it out in Florida or here in California?
I went to the Aspen Comedy Festival one year,
Yeah.
like it was in the early 2000s, and Phil Hendrie was there, and he did his show from Aspen one night, and
Yeah.
he in front of a live audience, and it was just like watching, I don't know, like
A master.
like John Coltrane or
Yes,
somebody, or
yes.
Miles Davis. It was just like, holy crap, I'm watching this and I can't believe what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Like, how is he doing this? It was him. I mean, he would basically create a conversation.
Mhm.
He would play himself as
The voice of
host.
reason.
Yeah, and he would have himself as a character
Mhm.
who would call the show, and that part of the conversation would be literally,
Right.
he would speak into a phone, and it would be futzed, so it would sound like it was coming over the phone, but it was him, and he would have a conversation with himself basically,
Right.
as two different people, and he would like cut himself off, and it was just like
He's like a magician.
something you have to see it.
He
to believe
created
it
an
was-
illusion.
Yeah, he did. And I don't think there's a lot of people who can do
I can't
that.
think of anyone.
And to have your mind work that quickly and, to do multiple. Sometimes he would have
Mhm,
third
mhm.
characters kind of in the background come in. So he would have three-way conversations. It was just like, it was unbelievable. I mean, and so funny, so entertaining. So, but I haven't really been following him recently, so I don't really know what he's up to.
I don't either, other than his voiceover work in animation. I actually worked with him
You did?
in about 1986, 87.
Oh,
He was the
wow.
morning guy at KLSX
Okay.
in Los Angeles, which back then, that was well before Howard Stern.
Right.
And it was KLSX, it was classic rock.
Yeah.
And the morning show was Phil Hendrie and Marshall Phillips. And I actually did a bit one time because I was just
Holy
working in the promotions
cow.
department. He hadn't even discovered what he did. I think he discovered and began iteration that what he created,
Yeah.
he did out in Florida, I think.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think so, in a market in Florida. But yeah, that guy's a genius.
Yeah, he is.
A mad genius.
I just think, I know obviously there's only one Phil Hendrie, but I know you did stuff like that. And I'm just so impressed that you did that. I can't even imagine okay, we got to fill some time. I'm going to call myself. I'm going to have a conversation with myself and it's going to be funny.
You're making
and-
it sound way more magical than it was. Let me pull the curtain back. We would get horrible. They had a comedy service that we subscribed to that was written material, and we would get it
Okay.
via fax.
Okay.
And they always had a top 10 list, like David Letterman had. And there were always generally terrible, and I would make it a top 5 list. And I would just go, no, absolutely not. No, 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 no. Cut it in half, and then maybe I could write a better one or have I would use. So we would get even worse jokes from them. And I say, I can't say this joke, but I can have a crazy character. This guy would come in the room. I'd have a door opening sound effect. I said, is that Simon coming in here? And my partner she would say, oh, I think he is. And then I'd have the door opening sound effect. And I'd be off my, hey, Simon, hey, you guys, I have a joke. Please, we're trying to do the news right now. But can I do the last part? All right, just be quiet for a minute. Okay, it's a funny joke. All right, calm down. And then at the end, we'd let him say the joke, which was terrible, but we could use it and attribute it to the jerk.
Right.
And then he would run out of the room and the door would shut. I was like, somebody needs to medicate him. And I had about 5 characters like that. But we couldn't do it live. I had to record it and play it back. Phil Hendrie could do it. I had to have a partner live, annotate, and a recording system. Phil Hendrie could do all of that on the fly. Yeah. So that's the master, right? In terms of that type of thing.
He is the master for sure. And it was a great thrill to watch him. But I wish I had been able to see you do that stuff back in those days. That would have been fun to see that.
Is there anything you want to talk about? Like we can we started talking immediately. There's no. But is there anything on your mind?
I need some help with my taxes, and I thought
already.
What a jackwagon!
Yeah, I want to get a jump on it, and I thought, no, I'm just kidding. Is there something I want to talk about?
You're getting ready to teach a class?
Yeah, I'm going to be teaching an improv comedy class, a basic class at a local community college in St. Augustine, Florida, here in Northeastern Florida. It's called First Coast Technical College, and
I love that you're teaching improv at a technical college.
Yeah, well, I just felt like, okay, where's the best way to teach this? Where are there a lot of welders?
They're funny people.
They really are funny guys. When you get that face mask off of them, they are, they put down when they do the welding. They are super funny guys, and I just wanted a place for them to go, unleash some of that,
Yeah.
So,
and the class, I believe the class is called "Put Down the Blowtorch, Pick Up the Funny."
Yep, that's the name of the class. That's exactly it.
And where is this in St. Augustine? Did you say?
It's in St. Augustine, and it's going to be September 16th on a Monday night. And I can send you the link.
How long have you been in Florida?
2 years.
2 years?
Yeah, 2 years.
Oh, it's been longer than that, hasn't it?
No.
And you were in Los Angeles before.
Yes, I was in Los Angeles for almost 30 years.
Is the last time I saw you on Rob Dyrdek's Fantasy Factory? Did you work for that show?
Yes, I worked on Rob Dyrdek's Fantasy Factory as a story producer. I worked on a bunch of different reality shows that were done in LA as a story producer. And before that, I worked in feature films as an assistant sound effects editor. And I kind of did a lot of stuff in the entertainment business over the years. And, while I was doing that stuff, I kind of discovered improv like in the early 90s. I went to my first improv show, and that changed my whole life. When I saw my first improv show, I was like, wow, I got to do this all the time. And I was taking classes everywhere, and I was doing shows with other groups, and then I ultimately ended up at the Groundlings studying there. And that's how I met you. And we got I was fortunate enough to perform with you in the Sunday Company at the Groundlings. And then after the Groundlings, I performed at Improv Olympic West in Hollywood for a while.
That's a great place. Great place.
Yeah. And I actually started teaching there, which is kind of how I started to teach. And I really enjoyed it. It was for long form improvisation. It was kind of
the Herald.
Do
they call it the Herald?
Yeah, they do. They call it the Herald.
That, to me, that's interesting that you taught that, because the style of improv at the Groundlings is very short form, whereas a Herald is a long form and I kind of have to agree, it's tougher to weave a story through one improv that goes from topic to topic, scene to scene. Would you agree with that?
It's definitely harder, but you have to learn the basic building blocks. And I think the stuff that we learned at the Groundlings was a great foundation
Mm-hmm.
for moving on, because you still need to know the fundamental rules,
Right.
of agreement and adding, yes-anding, adding to what's laid out, and all the stuff of listening and all the basics that we learned at the Groundlings. But with the Herald, it was much more free form, and people were going in and out of scenes and doing time jumps, and it was definitely more challenging, and but it was also like more liberating too, because you really could go anywhere with it and stuff. But the Groundlings, it was just a different philosophy. And the Groundlings, they kind of used improv as sort of a springboard for their training there.
And sketch writing and
but they were
character
the
development.
emphasis there, as you know, was more on doing comic characters and writing sketches. And that's kind of what they're known for. There are other places in LA and in other cities where improv it's sort of the goal is,
it's an art form itself.
It's not like sort of a means to an end. It's like,
yes,
we're just going to be doing this, and we can do a lot with this, and it's amazing. I started taking classes again just to kind of, because it had been a while since I had performed, and it's been great. I love it.
In Florida.
Yeah, I've been taking classes down in Orlando for, I don't know, probably about 8 weeks.
Can I ask you this? When you first
sure.
went down there and they wanted you to audition in some way, or like, okay, I want you guys to warm up. I want you to be a Studebaker. And you're going to turn that into a character. Because I tried to do that where I'm living now, and I thought, I can't. I'm too old for that shit. I can't get down on the ground and roll around on a dirty carpet that's just stained with God knows what, and pretend to be,
I would have to say I disagree with you there. I think you could do that.
I don't think. No. And they're all 20, and there's this old man. What was up with that creepy old man that was rolling around on the ground, and he I think he brushed against my calf.
Whoopsies.
I'm calling the police.
One of the things I just love about improv, and I'm experiencing it in this class I'm in now, is there's such a wide range of students. Like, there's literally people in the class that are in high school, and it goes all the way up to, I think the oldest person is in their early 60s. I'm not kidding you.
The older person is in an iron lung, and they just sort of tap out.
But he's still very funny.
He's hilarious. He does the best Jack Benny deadpan that you've ever seen. Better than Jack himself.
You really have to be paying attention, though, because his iron lung is kind of loud. So you can miss some dialogue here. You just got to really focus.
Yeah,
but
that's what improv's about.
Great space work.
So inappropriate.
Yeah, you've been teaching a little bit, right?
A little bit.
It's very rewarding when you get these young
love it.
students that are just like, oh my God, they're going someplace. I'm not really teaching them. I'm just kind of pushing them down the path a little bit.
Sometimes students come in and they're really introverted.
Yes.
Or, really anxious about
being in front of people.
whatever.
It's the number one, the most
being in front of
common
people.
fear among people generally is getting up and speaking in front of others.
After like doing a few weeks of class, they're just like a totally different person emerges, and they're comfortable in front of other people, and they're having fun, and they made friends, and they kind of see a side of themselves that they never really knew was there, but was there all the time. And it's just really cool to kind of help with that,
Maybe you've seen the show Drew Carey used to host, Whose Line Is It Anyway? But if you've never seen live improv before, you really should. Theater seems like it's becoming one of the last shared live experiences, and improv is even more so, because the audience not only participates, but the show you see will never be seen again in that iteration. It's just the cast and the audience together, and that makes for a truly unique experience. This moron highly recommends it. Even Tina Fey recommends improv, and there's a link in the description from her book, Miss Bossy Pants, about her rules of improv and how it can change your life and remove belly fat. By the way, the Groundlings Theatre in Los Angeles does also have a long-form improv show on Wednesday nights called The Crazy Uncle Joe Show. So check it out if you're in town. That's the show. Click yay, subscribe, send money, all that stuff. But mainly, thank you for listening to The Modern Moron. See you next time.